This is Past Master Moyer calling Masonic Lite podcast. I was listening to episode 76 with Joey Doherty. Joe and Jack Harley, you two need to go out somewhere, way out, and go wherever it is that you want to go, because, man, you're on a level way above me and everybody else on the Masonic Lite podcast crew. I fell asleep. I didn't wake up until Jim Stevens' Lodge Business Brief, which was very interesting. And then the last 10 minutes wasn't too bad. Joe talked about his Committee of Inquiry experience, which was pretty funny. And Jack got off at, I don't know what, high level, way the heck up there somewhere. And Maris, you were very quiet. I completely understand, because you were probably sleeping through most of the episode like I was. Anyway, let's not go down that path again, guys. I'll be calling in soon. Bye.
From the new recording lair located deep beneath the Wine and Spirit store in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Masonic Lite podcast.
Studio 665 presents Masonic Lite podcast. This show is recorded by Masons, for Masons, and is for entertainment purposes only. And please, no wagering.
This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. And now, here's your host.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 80. Episode 80.
80. Ooh.
Episode 80.
Is it really? Episode 80.
4 score.
And Jack, you were dancing like the chipmunk or the groundhog from
I just love that
Caddyshack.
music.
Caddyshack, yeah.
I love that intro music.
Except you
nobody
weren't on
could see
camera.
It's the only
It
dance
was
I
my
know.
camera, so they just saw my reaction video.
So be it.
So go ahead, Jack. You can drive.
What do they say? Dance like nobody's watching, right?
Yeah, we have a guest tonight, and he was your find.
Well, but we'll get to him. We'll talk about him. Our guest tonight is Mark Pearlstein. Say hello, Mark.
Hello.
There he is. That's Mark. Mark is the Senior Grand Warden of the Grand Lodge of Maryland. And Mark is an old friend of mine. He was a part of Amicable St. John's Lodge when I was master in 2009. And he's scratched and clawed his way up the Grand Line, and he's now Senior Grand Warden. And he's a very interesting guy, and they have some interesting things going on in Maryland right now. And we'll talk about some of that. But first, I think we're going to do what we usually do and go around the room and talk about what we've been doing or not doing for the last couple of weeks. So why don't we start with Larry? Larry, what you been up to?
Why me?
Because yours will be the shortest.
You set a nice low bar.
I just asked Josh, did we do anything?
Goose and gridiron.
No.
Did you have breakfast? I know you had breakfast.
We had goose and gridiron.
See, there you did something.
Did you go to any tall cedars things?
I paid some dues to some organizations that are Masonic I belong to.
There you go.
I guess that counts.
Yeah.
It does. Absolutely it does.
Okay.
So we'll go around the room. Tim, what have you been up to?
2 things I've mentioned. The District 3 had a picnic and barbecue cook-off this past Saturday in Newville, Pennsylvania. We had about 75 brothers and show up. Some brought their spouses and significant others. Not both.
I even know where the lodge is in Newville. I've driven
it
past
actually wasn't at the lodge. It was at their one of their past masters' farms.
Cool.
Which meant we could have fun. But
in a friendly sort of way.
In a friendly sort of way. But that, and then most significantly, as secretary of my lodge, trying to get everything lined up for another dues season that we're about to kick off.
Dues season. I like that. All right, you come back from the break and it's dues season. Yeah. So, Mark, as Senior Grand Warden, you've probably had nothing to do Masonically the last few weeks, right?
Oh, brother. Just so your listeners understand, Maryland is not an ascending line. So even though you may be elected to a junior or senior Grand Warden, that does not mean you're going to go on to become a Grand Master. And I will announce this publicly. I have absolutely no interest to become the Grand Master.
Oh, come on! Aren't you plotting a coup d'état? Come on.
No. I'm serious.
Right.
He's pulling a Lyndon Johnson.
All right.
Go any further.
What did Lyndon Johnson say? If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. There you go. You've got precedence. So what have you been up to?
Well, the Grand Line has been kind of quiet during the summertime. Obviously, we're not doing raisings per se, but we are doing cornerstone layings and renewals, if you would, reunifications. For a couple of lodges that have done some major overhauls and rededicated the lodges with the Grand Line. We had the Grand Master's Ball 2 weekends ago that was sold out. All the monies that were raised were for the Masonic Museum, which is, from what I am told, and please do not take umbrage to this, but I'm told that Maryland has one of the oldest Masonic museums in the United States. I knew I was going to get a problem with it. Oh, come on.
All right.
Do we have to go through this again?
All right. We're going to argue about Maryland later, too, but that's a different story.
Go ahead. So I've been notified by the Grand Master that I'll be representing him at the installation of the Grand Lodge of West Virginia.
Oh,
so
nice.
My wife and I will be driving down to Charleston, West Virginia, for their installation.
I have so many West Virginia jokes.
Yeah, we're going to let them go. We might have a listener.
Is this at a
in West
Motel
Virginia.
6 or
So you said something. You said something in there, Mark, that the Grand Lines didn't have any raisings over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
A lot of times you have lodges that have multiple candidates, and what we have the ability to do is do a short form and long form. But you have to be able to do that with the permission of the Grand Master or have the Grand Line and Grand Master present to be able to do it. So it allows you to be able to raise 6 men to Sublime Degree and Master Mace and start at 7:30 and get done by 11:30.
So the Grand Line is actually doing the work? They taking the chairs and doing the work? Or are they just...
For the actual raising, yes. The short form, normally they'll take turns. Who sits in the east and who does the raising within the lodge.
Wow. That's very cool.
That's cool.
We're all wondering if...
Don't.
No, I'll ask. I'm already persona non grata. Could our Grand Lodge officers do a degree anymore?
I'm sure that some of them.
I'm sure they could.
Some,
I'm sure they could.
Of course they could.
I'm sure they could. I have the utmost faith and confidence in our Grand Lodge officers.
Cards and letters to Studio 665.
No.
Pete
Ruggieri.
It's Castle Dobermino. That's where they go.
But this brings in a segue that, Jack, I know you wanted to talk about, and that is with men that get an appointment in a line and progress through the various stations, so hopefully eventually occupy the Oriental chair in the East. And we've had some issues in Maryland. And
so we'll come back to that, Mark. Let's finish going around the table. That is like the subject that I want to come back to. But let's finish going around the table. Pete, what have you been up to?
Just doing some planning. I've got we have a Tall Cedars picnic this coming Tuesday, so I've been trying to get ready for that.
We do?
Yeah, we do. Be at the Mount Joy VFW. It's going to be a sausage party. We're going to, I mean that because I'm making grilled sausages and peppers and onions.
I was like,
is that a co-ed sausage party?
No, it's a stag-only event.
Stag event. Okay, got it.
And We are a social body of Freemasonry, and we will be having cedar sap present.
Social bodies. All right.
Yeah, so we can have alcohol.
So you're saying it's the 20th of August?
It's whatever, the fourth Tuesday in August, whatever that is.
That would be the 27th.
Okay, so 2 weeks. I guess I can.
Tuesday after this comes out.
Yeah, so good thing I didn't buy the sausage yet.
So that will be another Tall Cedars event that I miss. So just saying.
Let's see. And then I just booked for my AMD chapter where I'm Sovereign Master this year. I just booked Loxley's for that meeting. So
go ahead.
That's it.
All right.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Josh?
I've been still planning the committees of inquiry that I've had to do. They're finally scheduled, and everybody can make it. So we'll be doing that this Friday.
Nice.
So.
And you've got some news on the tail end of this to share.
Well, we can do that for upcoming.
That's what I'm saying,
exactly.
on the tail end of this.
We'll talk about that when we go to the end of the show. What's coming up.
Oh, that's a teaser.
That's a teaser.
Stay tuned for news about Josh. So I have been gleefully in a Masonic coma for the last, 3-4 weeks. Although I did go to a Masonic picnic. It was supposed to be a past masters picnic that was being hosted by Lodge 43. It was supposed to be all the past masters of District 1. It was a very nice time. It was at the Lancaster Liederkrantz. The food was amazing. The beer was lovely. The people were great, and a good time was had by most. But that's really most of it. I am ramping up my Grotto September meeting. And we're having casino night at our Grotto meeting in September.
Casino Royale.
Casino Royale. So there'll be
James Bond.
James Bond. And we'll be drinking martinis, shaken not stirred. So there you go.
Aren't all martinis shaken?
Sorry, some are shakier than others. Mm-hmm. But also, I have coming up the Lodge in the Woods, which Mark, you're going to be at. That's exciting.
Yes.
Always fun to throw things at you. And you will be recognized, by the way. We're not sure how yet, but you are going to be recognized. So don't even tell me you don't want to be, because it's going to happen. Just relax.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And then I have also the pumpkin roll at Autumn Days. So that's coming up in September as well. That'll be the Saturday after Lodge in the Woods. So lots going on coming up. Nothing that I've done recently. So I guess I won't talk at the end. But Larry's shaking his head. What's the matter, Larry?
This pumpkin roll, I can see.
Did you see the video?
What could go wrong?
What could go? You're right, Tim. What could go wrong?
It's awesome.
At Masonic Village, rolling pumpkins down the hill.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Thousands of people there. What could happen?
What could go wrong? At a Grotto event, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Near the extended care facility. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to bring somebody down from the hill and paint them orange. But so anyway, so that's it for what we've been doing. We're going to take a quick break. So stay with us, and we'll be back in just a second with Mark Pearlstein and his comments about the Grand Lodge of Maryland.
Why choose George J. Grove & Sons for your next home improvement project? At George J. Grove & Sons, we've built our reputation on quality and trust for more than 50 years. For planning to materials to installation, George J. Grove promises a home improvement experience second to none. Whether your goal is reducing energy costs, decreasing maintenance, updating curb appeal, or simply increasing the value of your home, the George J. Grove team will recommend and provide solutions that stand the test of time. Call 717-393-0859 for an estimate, or visit us at georgejgrove.com.
And we're back. So you're still listening, so that's a good thing. And Mark, you're still here, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mark Pearlstein is still here. Mark is, as we've said, the Senior Grand Warden of the Grand Lodge of Maryland. And the reason Mark's here tonight is because I was down to Maryland to visit a good friend of both of ours, Harvey Davidoff, who sadly, a year and a half ago, had a terrible medical shenanigans that really nearly wiped him out. But Harvey's made a terrific comeback. I was down there a couple weeks ago. He looked fantastic, speaking well and bothering the nurses. So God bless Harvey and his recovery. But he did mention, Mark, that you were campaigning across the state on behalf of the Grand Master about bringing new bodies into the East. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there, what that push is all about.
Okay, thank you. Let me start with the actual task that the Grand Master gave me was not this. I hate to throw you under the bus. Mine
wouldn't be the first time.
Member retention.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to discuss that afterwards. The Grand Master has been concerned if we were able to just negate non-payment of dues, we'd be in a plus situation and growing. But we're not. As it stands right now, in 2019, we have about 13,000 Masons in Maryland. We have 103 lodges. Of that, we have 35 net new worshipful masters, which means all the others are past masters serving. And that's scary because past masters make up the Grand Lodge. Without the past masters, you can't have a Grand Lodge.
Right.
So there's a couple of things that have gone on with this. And one of the things they're looking at is because Maryland does things a little bit differently than the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania, our ritual is a little different in it's longer. There are lectures that are given, and there's catechisms that have to be learned and memorized to give responses. With the lectures, to become a worshipful master, you have to memorize 81,000 words over a 8-year time frame.
81,000 words.
81,000 words. That's starting out as a junior steward, going through the line, and then being elected junior warden, senior warden, and worshipful master.
Wow.
And we have to stand proficiency in the giving of the 3 degrees. And the senior warden cannot just walk in and become worshipful master. They have to be able to confer all 3 degrees along with their line. There's Masonic law. There is a leadership training that they have to go. That's a weekend in the spring and a weekend in the fall. And that's pure management because they become the CEOs of their lodge. So they have to come in with budgets. They have to come in with plans as to what they're going to do and how they're going to go about doing it.
So the senior warden does that in his year before he becomes master? He goes through
correct.
That? Okay.
Yeah. And our installations are in January 1st to January 31st. All lodges must install their line of officers for the following year. The past master's degree is done in December, and we do that collectively in various locations within the state. So as Ephrata does theirs at the installation, we do ours as a group of lodges.
Okay.
So one of the things that we've been looking at is what can we do to make it not necessarily easier, but make it more effective for the lodge and be able to have newer brothers be able to take on the responsibility of becoming a worshipful master. One of the things they're looking at is for them to be able to open and close a meeting in proper degrees, be able to confer the lecture, and that's it. The actual degree can be done by past masters, but the lodge would be certified to have past masters do the actual degree work every 4 years. And then they have to have a new group or the same group get recertified.
They're recertified. Interesting. Okay.
So we're not dumbing down the ritual, but what we are trying to do is make it a little bit easier for the ascent to the east, because we all know what it's like. 8 years of going through the stations, learning the floor work, learning the ritual, and getting comfortable and competent to be able to go on to your next station.
Yeah, I don't know about Maryland, but I know in Ephrata we'd be really stoked if it were an 8-year wait to get to the east. Right now, I think in our lodge, we are 4 at best, hoping to get maybe to 5 because we've got a couple of good guys coming in.
Yeah, but in Ephrata's defense, you have something that most lodges and most jurisdictions do not have. You've not had a past master have to come in and serve. You've had a net new worshipful master your entire history.
Yeah, and we're in fear of that right now. That's a huge threat, and we're trying to address it. But what do you think? I mean, anybody else want to chip in here? This doesn't need to be just me and
You're doing so good.
Me and Mark. Shut up. So what do you think is the reason why it's so difficult? Other than the just the raw volume of ritual that you have to learn. Is there anything else in play here?
Yeah, because the times have changed. We've all heard this before. You have family members. You have both the wife and the husband working. You have children. You got responsibilities. You've got things going on in the evening. And there's a lot of things pulling a man today that was not pulling men back in the 50s and 60s. Social media has had a tremendous impact. There's so many things that are pulling at a family fiber of trying to keep a family together. It's difficult. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do in the state is we've come up with a couple of programs, and I just want to mention them and kind of give you an idea of what's going on in Maryland to try to stimulate lay brothers to want to become more involved in the ritual.
Lay brothers? Are we back at the Catholic Church now? What? Lay brothers?
I'm a lay guy.
Talk to a Jewish Mason about this.
Oi! All right. What?
All right, I'll go for the oi.
And you know I have rights to that, right?
Oh, that's okay. The first thing the Grand Master came out with was a master's ritual program, and it was broken out into 3 types of recognition: an entered apprentice ritualist, a journeyman ritualist, and a master ritualist. Ooh. And an apprentice ritualist had to be proficient in the catechism of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree. The journeyman ritualist needed to be proficient in the apprentice ritual along with the entered apprentice degree in its entirety and fellowcraft degree in its entirety. And you know that the difference between our jurisdictions in the fellowcraft degree, you don't have middle chamber, where we
don't.
do.
Yeah. We wish we did, but we don't.
The master ritualist is proficient as a journeyman ritualist with the Master Mason degree in its entirety, the memorial service, or the installation ceremony.
Now, when you say in its entirety, in your world, you have multiple parts during that ritual work.
Correct.
So he has to know all of the parts for the work?
He needs to know all of it, yeah.
Wow.
Basically, yeah.
Mark,
it's a big deal. It's not something you're going to learn in a year. Let's put it that way.
Larry's got a question for
Yeah,
you.
Mark, I was wondering, you were in contact with other states. Are other states giving this process some thought? Because I know there are probably a lot of states that are a lot smaller than Maryland, and I'm wondering what they're doing. Have you talked to any other Grand Lodges?
Yeah, I've been to Rhode Island. I've been to Massachusetts. Been to Delaware. All the jurisdictions are having common problems with membership retention and bringing in new men.
Mark, I'm not going to kid you. I've told this story before on the show. I was in Germany a month or so ago, and I went to a lodge over there, and I heard the same story. I heard the same violins playing. Guys don't come out. People aren't cutting in the chairs. Blah blah blah. It was exactly the same thing we're talking about here. So it's everywhere for sure.
We have to come up with certain things that are going to be worthwhile for a man to pay to be a Mason, their dues, and want to come to lodge. Not everybody is going to want to be able to go through the chairs to become a worshipful master. But there are so many other things that they can do within the lodge to make it enjoyable for them and to contribute to the craft. So what they have come up with is a second program, and it's called the Zerubbabel Medal, and it's actually a medal.
I love that.
If you know the ninth degree from the Grand Lodge of Ireland, Zerubbabel is a big important part of it. So is also in the York Rite, quite frankly.
Yeah, something about a signet.
So this, you have certain things that are required, and this is to be done the first year you are a Mason. You have to attend a minimum of 8 lodge meetings of your own lodge. You have to visit 2 other lodges. Now, you can take your mentor with you or someone from your lodge if you'd like. You have to assist with refreshments on a lodge committee or a lodge committee.
Okay, so this is like our Master Pillar Award, or Master Builder Award, yeah. Okay.
You have to attend at least one social function of your lodge. You have to participate in a large community event. You have to attend a meeting of one of the Masonic youth groups. Now, we have Demolay, Rainbow, and Job's Daughters.
Right.
Have a current information completed in the membership manager. That's our database. And we're finding out a lot of the other grand jurisdictions like what they've seen from Maryland, and they're getting involved in it. So I think there's like 6 jurisdictions that are now going to be on this database. The nice thing about this database is that if you're looking for a professional, you're going to be able to find it. It's a directory, if you would. You need to complete the Fellow of the Craft on the membership manager. That's one of our educational programs. And be a first signer on at least one petition, which is kind of a unique idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is for your lay members coming in, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a very similar program. It's in Pennsylvania. It's called the Master Builders Award, and it's a lot of the requirements are the same: attending a Masonic youth thing, signing a petition, going to an event, things like that. What I want to kind of steer it back a little bit, if we can, to the idea of getting in the line and going through the chairs. It seems to me like we spend an awful lot of time talking about what's required of somebody who wants to get in the chairs and go through the line.
I respectfully will disagree with you on that.
Okay. Tell me.
I don't think we spend enough time talking to a man about what is the expectations and requirements to become a worshipful master.
Really? Okay.
See, you go through the line where you don't have a whole lot of memorization work, but you have floor work till you get to the senior deacon. The senior deacon station in Maryland is one that you actually have the middle chamber lecture that they have to do. It's the first major thing. You also have the grasshopper in the 3rd degree. Those are the 2 things. So you're starting to get into what's really going to be the requirements from a ritual standpoint, not from a floor standpoint, but from a ritual standpoint.
Okay.
And the commitment to it. And I don't think we do an adequate job because we get people that go through all of the stations as appointed officers, and when they get to junior warden, start getting cold feet.
Mm-hmm.
You also have people that, because of job situations, move. That happens.
I've seen in your lodge in Amicable St. John's, it knocked my socks off. They've had 2 guys go through the line where English is a second language.
Yes.
That to me, this is hard enough. Like English is my language, and I'm trying to learn these words, and it was amazing. But for those guys, to learn it in a foreign language, to me was just absolutely unimaginable. But what an accomplishment that for those guys to get that done.
Cannot agree with you more, and also that Masonic linguistics are not Queen's English.
Not anymore, anyway.
So I mean that's a problem also. But to get back to getting men in line to want to become a worshipful master really is at the very beginning of the process of when you're interviewing a man as to becoming a Mason.
Oh, you want to hit him? You want to hit him with it early, then?
Yeah, really, you really do. You really do, because let's be frank about this. You have lodges that are degree machines. That's all they do is degree work. The problem is, once they do the degree, they don't see the people again. That's a problem. They become paying members. That's it.
Well, the joke I've said for years is, the biggest lie in Freemasonry is we tell everybody it's only one night per month, or it's a few hours per month, but we're really setting the expectation. Part of the growth. It was cool to become a Master Mason, but going through the chairs, becoming worshipful master is where I think I got my development as a Mason.
And that's where I was going earlier was I don't think we spend enough time talking about what we get from it. And Josh is in the line right now. Josh, you're senior warden this year. Yep. And you can maybe talk a little bit about, like, from your experience, it's a huge growth opportunity. I mean, you're required now to do things that you never thought you'd have to do, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, go.
What?
Okay, thanks, Josh. And Larry,
well, Mark, there's 2 things here. Number one, my original question was never really answered because Jack just came in and just took over the whole thing.
Sorry, go to sleep.
About
Larry.
other Grand Lodges contacting you about the moves and the progress that you're making to do this. In your conversations with the other Grand Lodges, are they thinking about doing the same, or are they changing some of the dynamics?
They're starting to change some of the dynamics, some of them. Others are looking to take what we've done and put it more into a customized situation for what they want to accomplish. Ohio is a very forward-thinking jurisdiction. Washington. Ohio.
It's very flat.
The mic was hot.
You have to be forward-thinking because it's flat, and you have to see way out there.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead. Ohio.
Shut up, Larry.
No one has the correct answer, but Jack, you said in your travels, you've seen it in Europe. Masonry around the world all have basic issues. There are a couple of areas that do not. One is the Philippines. The other is Brazil and South America, because Masonry is viewed differently than it is in the North American and Canadian area.
How so?
I have to give a hats off to Prince Hall, because they set an expectation that is much different than what we do. First of all, the cost to become a Mason in Prince Hall is anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a year. When you're putting that type of money down, it's a serious commitment.
I can't do that. I'm on a fixed income. I can't.
And I understand that. But they put a commodity price on it. We have one lodge, Ancient Baltimore. The initiation fee is $1,200. So if you put a price tag on something that's desirable, then people are going to be more serious about it, and you can put the expectations down as to what is expected of them. Let me ask you a question. When you were going through to become a Master Mason, and I don't know if you had to learn catechism of each of the degrees as to what was performed and an explanation of it. But back in the 60s and 70s, quite frankly, you did a catechism class every night of the week so that you were becoming a Master Mason in 3 months or less. Now we're finding that we're stretching out degrees, and that's not good either because men lose interest. It's not exactly answering the question as to what do we need to do to get men to get into the elected chairs of the lodge to lead. I think we have a more critical problem, quite frankly, in getting our members to come to lodge and getting them involved and understanding what we're all about. And I don't think it's a generational thing. I really don't.
Mark, you've heard one of the things you mentioned earlier was about the fact that once they're elevated to the degree of a Master Mason, they don't come back.
Yes.
You heard the story about the mice in the lodge, haven't you? Anyway, mice in the lodge? Tell us the story. Well, this was downtown Lancaster, and the lodge was beset by a whole lot of mice and rodents. It was really bad. Well, the lodge officers had a meeting, had a good meeting, and they didn't come to a conclusion of what they could do to get rid of these mice. So basically, they said, "Hey, man, we'll bring in someone that will rodent control, whatever they call those people." Someone said, "Well, let's use fancy mouse traps. We don't want to kill them. We want to put them out in the fields." The other one said, "Why don't we just use a BB gun and just sit here and wait for them?" And, well, they didn't come to any conclusion. They adjourned the lodge for the night. In a month and a half, they come back for a lodge meeting. The mice are gone. I said, "What happened to the mice?" The worshipful master said, "I took care of it. I elevated the mice to the degree of a Master Mason, and they didn't come back."
It's a funny story if Larry didn't tell it.
I will tell you something. When you got an appointment into the line, the way it was done in Amicable St. John's, the worshipful master that appointed you into the line, you were his responsibility for 8 years. He was with you all 8 years, helping you and doing whatever is necessary. And what happens is you develop a very close relationship. Jack, you remember Murray Lilly.
Sure.
He was my Masonic father.
Mm-hmm.
And the man was more of a brother than blood to me. You need to have a mentor. You need to have someone that's going to be there to beat you up when necessary, to give you a compliment once in a while, and also to whisper kind counsel in your ear when necessary.
Yeah, and I don't think there's enough of that. It's kind of plop them in the line and give them a book and make them learn it.
But I think with all due respect, though, there are examples, some strong examples, even in the state of Pennsylvania, where that's happening.
Maybe 2.
No, there's more than 2. It is sporadic. It is needed to be better. But I think to assume that we're just throwing people in line to throw people in line everywhere is it's not accurate. I know of lodges I know certainly in my district. I know lodges in your district. I mean, in your effort of, as you said, while you may have a short path to the east, there are still a lot of proficiency requirements.
Yeah, you still have to know the work.
Josh, who is senior warden in his lodge, there is a tremendous amount of memorization. There is a commitment, at least on behalf of some of the past masters, to see that the lodge continues on and that these proficiencies continue. Doesn't mean we're not frustrated that it's not better.
I just don't think we spend enough time talking about what the man gets out of being in the East.
I don't disagree with that.
I just think it's an opportunity that you're just not going to get everywhere. It's the regular guy has the chance to be the CEO for a year, and that comes with all kinds of responsibilities and opportunities. And I honestly just think we just whine and moan about, oh, this guy's being a jerk, and I can't get anybody to help with this, and while all that's true, there's something that comes from it as a result of it that you grow as a human being, you grow as a person. I know I've experienced it.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll see if we can solve the rest of the problems before we wrap up.
Nice.
All the rest of the problems in Freemasonry. We'll be right back.
At the Historic Smithton Inn of Ephrata, Pennsylvania, we're pleased to serve the latest creations from Weathered Vineyard Winery, along with spirits from Thistlefinch Distillery in Lancaster, all to be experienced in the tasting room of a beautifully restored 18th century bed and breakfast. Cigars by D&S Cigar are available for your enjoyment in the courtyard. The Historic Smithton Inn is convenient to Lancaster County's most interesting attractions. Just minutes from the Ephrata Cloister and the Green Dragon Farmers Market. And a short drive can get you to charming Lidditz, thriving downtown Lancaster, as well as Hershey, Bird in Hand, and Intercourse. Or Valley Forge and Gettysburg. Whether you're looking for a romantic getaway or an active vacation full of sightseeing and attractions, the Historic Smithton Inn will be a welcoming oasis from everyday life, one that you'll want to visit again and again. Stop in and visit at 900 West Main Street in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, or check out our website at historicsmithtoninn.com, or simply call us at 717-733-6094. Just ask for Past Master Dave.
Hey, Masonic Lite listeners, welcome back. This is Pete. I just wanted to take a quick minute to say how much we love our Patreons. These are the loyal super fans that contribute on a monthly basis to help keep the lights on here at Studio 665. Our expenses here are not a ton, but there is some overhead with studio rent, high-speed internet, keeping Larry in bathroom water.
Diuretics.
Yeah, so we do have some expenses, but you could become a sponsor for as little as $1 per month. If you go to patreon.com/Masonic Lite Podcast, we have 3 different levels. The Entered Apprentice level is $1, Fellow Craft of $5, and the Master Mason level of $13. So if you love Masonic Lite Podcast...
And just so you know, we are all members at the $13 level, so it costs us money to do this every month.
Yes,
so.
But I would love just to get $1.
$1.
Absolutely.
Just
$1.
one.
Yeah, so if you love us as much as 1 cup of coffee.
Half a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Have you bought coffee lately?
Okay, if you love us as much as a Starbucks cup of coffee,
then you
get
get the fellow craft. I said it's a fellow craft.
But if you get diner coffee or you have a pod in your kitchen, that's $1. All
right.
So help us out, and if you are swimming in money and you're very generous, we won't turn down the $13 either. But you can visit us at patreon.com/Masonic Lite Podcast for more information, or if you want to do a sponsorship for a lodge or the Grand Lodge of Maryland, if they wanted to buy a sponsorship.
What?
Just email masoniclightpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.
Boom.
All right, Larry. Or Jack, bring us back with...
Did you just call me Larry?
He did.
Oh,
he
my
did.
God.
Woo.
Mark, the right, or I guess it's not right worshipful in Maryland, so it's the
Most worshipful.
most worshipful Grand Senior Warden. Grand
No,
Senior
no,
Warden.
no.
No?
Right worshipful is the actual title.
Semi-worshipful? Is that what you said?
It's like, oh,
I'm genuflecting.
no. Yes.
Mark, one of your charges this year is membership retention. So
Yes.
please tell us a little bit about that.
In August of last year, the Grand Master, or Deputy Grand Master at that time, decided that he wanted to take and have the senior and junior Grand Wardens take an active role and come up with certain things that could benefit the craft. The junior Grand Warden was given the role of working with attracting members. I was given the charge to get membership retention, bringing brothers back. So we decided to do a couple things differently that have never been done before. There are 23 counties in Maryland, and I chose a past master or worshipful master in each of the counties to be part of this committee. And I said to them, listen, you're only going to meet once a month. You're not going to have to drive. You're not going to get donuts. What you are going to do is you're going to have dinner with your family, and the last Friday of each month from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we're going to have a video meeting, and we're going to be addressing membership retention. Well, that has grown from 23 to 44 that we have attending our sessions each month. And it's very, very proactive, and it's been very, very fruitful.
Nice.
We looked at what happens to members that get their Master Mason degree and leave. Members that have been Master Masons for 5 or 10 years and then disappear. We look at people that have been suspended for non-payment of dues. And we wanted to come up with programs that could be used by the lodges that, first of all, would not cost money, but second of all, would be able to work to bring members back into lodge that haven't been to lodge in quite a while. So one of the first things that we did is we decided to come up with a survey, and we chose 10 lodges, and we asked each of the 10 lodges to come up with 10 brothers that they would like to be able to reach out to and find out why they haven't come to lodge. What will we need to do better, and what could we do to have them come back to lodge? So we came up with a survey that was a snail mail document type, 1 page, 13 questions. We also did electronic email for those that had email addresses. This has been a beta test. We just started it in July, and we're starting to get feedback from the 10 that are doing it. And I can tell you that right now we're starting to see some pretty interesting results in that we've been able to bring non-payment of dues brothers back. We've been able to get brothers that haven't been around coming back. And one of the things that we have found is because they lost contact with the lodge and they didn't think anybody cared.
I believe that.
It's something that really has helped out with this, and we have 2 brothers that have taken it upon themselves to call those brothers that have their Masonic birthday each month and just call them to say hello, just want to wish you a happy birthday, see how things are going, and that's it. Just want to say hello, and by the way, here are a couple things that are going on with the lodge. That is starting to work. Certain things that we're supposed to do that we don't do very well is when brothers are sick and visiting the brothers.
Oh, yeah.
We don't do a good job with that. Another area is actual charity to our own. And that's a big area that people hit rough times and they don't know how to reach out. And we claim that we're a charitable oriented organization. Yeah, we are for everybody else, especially for children with all of the collateral bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But for charity for our own brothers, no. And that's another area that we're working with. The biggest problem you have with membership retention is you have 44 guys wanting to do 44 different things at the same time. Having the meeting last for 1 hour, and I control it, is we stay focused on one thing and get it accomplished and then move on to the next thing.
Did you hear that, Senior Warden Josh? 1 hour.
I did.
All right. That's 30 minutes to open, 20 minutes to close, and 10 minutes of meeting. So that'll be
So,
your-
yeah, Mark, the one thing I found most interesting is when you guys actually reached out to the people that aren't coming around. Because for years, we all of us sit here and talk about what could we do to get these guys to come back. But we're the masochists that we go no matter how bad Lodge is. We're the ones that keep going. We're not the right ones to ask.
Right.
It's ask the ones that don't come back anymore.
Yeah.
That is correct.
What kind of response rate are you getting on those surveys?
Like a rusty nail degree, which I think you are familiar with.
Yes.
No.
It's a great way to bring in men that haven't been to Lodge because they forgot how to give the passwords for the various degrees. They forget how to do the garden sign. So
Can we elaborate on the rusty nail thing a little
Yeah,
bit?
a lot of the I know because I've seen them in Delaware, but some of the we don't really do them in Pennsylvania, Mark. So maybe you could explain it a little bit better for our listeners.
a rusty nail degree is you send out an invitation to brothers that have not been to Lodge in a long time. And you simply say, we are inviting you to participate in a degree and wish to recognize you. And don't worry about anything Masonic. We're going to take care of all of it. And what the rusty nail degree is, and I have a couple from Massachusetts, Maine, and Ohio, is basically it re-explains the 3 degrees, the do guards and signs and passwords. And you give them a certificate afterwards having accomplished the rusty nail degree. Another thing that can be done is to be able to do things that are not Masonic in nature that can bring in men and women. Now, you know what a festive board is.
Yes.
What you don't know is what an Adam's rib is.
I've seen them do that up in Massachusetts, Feast of Adam's Rib, but I've never been to one.
Well, Adam's rib is where you have the 8 toasts that are given, but it's a little different in the men, the various stations. You have a man give a toast and the woman gives a counter toast, and then the woman gives a toast and the man gives a counter toast, with all of the ceremony that's done with a table lodge, with the vavat, and all that good stuff. And I will tell you, although you do not have wine available to you in Pennsylvania, if you can get permission to do an Adam's rib, which is a non-Masonic function allowing women in, you can then do a wine full military table lodge the way it's supposed to be done. And those that don't want to partake don't have to. They can have juice or cider. But I will tell you, the women get into it. They have a ball. And it's another excuse for them for inviting men that are members and men that are not Masons with their respective others to come and have a great time.
All right, all outstanding ideas. Mark, there's a very serious question that I need to ask you personally, because I've known you for a very long time, and you are the first Grand Lodge officer that I've ever known who actually lost weight while being in the Grand Line. So I'd like to know how you did that.
For you folks without the camera, he's laughing.
Mark, you've dropped probably 100 pounds since I met you.
This one?
Huh?
Do you want an honest answer on this one?
Sure. What the hell?
Okay. You know that in the month of January, we're out virtually every night going to installation.
Yeah.
And in my travels, I managed to mess up my medicines. So I had my sugars go crazy, and I got with my doctor, and we had to reformulate the medicines. And because of that, I started losing weight.
Nice.
True story.
All right.
Story.
Well, now it's very similar. People, I've lost 140 pounds over 5 years, and people are like, oh, what are you doing to lose all the weight?
What diet are you on?
I'm on the chemo diet. I mean, cancer is a hell of a diet.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I love being dark, having dark humor. It just really puts somebody in their spot for not minding their own business.
Well,
not to get on your bad side.
Oh my God, yeah, you don't want to do that. He runs about 16 websites, and he's like 10,000 followers. So yeah, you just don't want to do that. So,
like 40,000.
40,000. Okay, sorry.
40,000 and growing.
40,000. So anyway, all right. Last thoughts on Brother Mark before we degenerate into news and chickens and all that kind of stuff. Any other questions? What's going on in Maryland? No.
I have one question. What
Pennsylvania's older than Massachusetts.
Don't start with me. And it's Massachusetts. It's older than Pennsylvania.
We didn't
Get
hear
it
you.
right.
Our producer just winked you out.
What?
You guys probably think hot dogs are red too.
All right.
They're not.
So what did you find was the biggest surprise when you jumped in the Grand Line? What was something that kind of completely blindsided you, either a problem or a good thing that you just didn't expect?
That's a very interesting question.
He's a very interesting guy.
You have to understand that Maryland, believe it or not, is a southern state. And they are
so are parts of Pennsylvania.
It's southerner than here, actually.
Being from Massachusetts and having my accent, plus a few other extraneous things, traveling around the state, there are different demographics and different personalities.
Oh, yeah.
People are shocked to find out that I'm actually a human being. And yeah, I talk funny too. I've had to walk a very tight line because not only am I representing my lodge, but I'm also, and I'll be quite frank about this, I'm also representing my faith. And a lot of people feel that Masonry is a Christian organization, and it's not.
Yeah, that whole Solomon thing, you know.
I've been trying to do is I have friends that are of the Muslim faith that I desperately want to bring in, but they're afraid of the backlash to it. We have been pushing diversification, and my lodge is extremely diversified. We have people that want to go back to the old way of doing things. And trying to enlighten people that if we do the same thing that we've been doing, getting the same results that we have gotten, you're not going to get anywhere and you're going to die.
Alrighty
and
then.
We're going to help Masonic funerals away from that, really, I think.
Right.
Honestly.
We've talked here a lot about how things are changing in Masonry, and unfortunately, there's always that sort of those people are just never going to altogether go away, and you just kind of have to work around them.
What you're doing here with the podcast, with the things that you do, the Friend to Friend program came from the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania, and we use it to this day. There are the fellowship between ASJ and Ephrata has been something that both lodges have cherished, and we actively work to keep going because it's so much enjoyment.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Lodge in the Woods is another phenomenal experience for those that are of the scouting background. So there's a lot of things to do. The biggest thing that you do with your mentoring program, and we need to really push on, is there's more to Masonry than your own lodge.
Right.
You need to visit other lodges. You're not visiting people that you don't know. You're visiting people you have not met before.
Oh, I like that.
There's a chance to develop friendships. The collateral bodies. Does anybody have any idea how much charity we contribute on a daily basis?
A lot.
$6 million or something like that.
$2.5 million a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
A day. Now, that's the Tall Cedars, that's the Yorkright, the Shrine,
The
that's
hospitals.
everybody. Everything geared towards children. Don't have to be a Mason. Don't need to know a Mason. You need to have a child in need, and we take care of the rest.
Yep. All right. Well, Mark, we just want to thank you very much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure.
We look forward to seeing you at Lodge in the Woods and sharing a fabulous steak dinner and a wonderful evening under the stars. I don't think
table
Is there a
lodge.
cigar session at a section at that?
I don't think there are cigars at a scout camp. I don't think that's
We
going
have to look into that.
No, there
You
never
really
have been.
should.
No, we've never had.
Really?
No. You have to talk to Jay Laser. He knows where the secret cigar smoking
Well,
is.
there
Since
you
there's
go.
kids, you should start with Chew.
There you go.
Anyway. But Mark, thanks again for being with us. And
Take care,
just,
gentlemen. It's been a ball. Thank you ever so much.
you're welcome to hang around while we close this mess up. So
Please go right ahead. I'm
all
on
right.
mute.
So we want. What do we have next?
Got a break?
Josh.
Just what we got coming up.
Quick
We got some news.
break, and then news, and then some sort of a fun thing, and then chickens.
Are we out of Michelle and out of Jim?
I think we
Do
just
we have
cut.
things from
Do
Jim
we have
Stevens?
segments?
We have Jim Stevens segments.
We have segments.
We haven't
All
received
right,
any.
well,
We got
let's-
segments. We're
let's
going
go
to
to
take some
break,
penicillin
have
and
a
we'll
segment.
fix it.
I'm going to rot a
We're
segment.
going to have a segment.
It's time for the Lodge Business Brief with Brother Jim Stevens.
Well, again, Masonic Lite podcast listeners, this is Jim Stevens with another Lodge Business Brief. At work, we have all sat through dreadful meetings. They seem to drag on forever, and nothing gets accomplished. If care is not taken, this can happen to our lodge meetings. There are a number of causes of a bad meeting, but one is not staying on topic. Tangents pop up all the time, and many times they are healthy. The stories we share with each other help to create a bond and add comic relief to an otherwise dry meeting. But they can quickly become unhealthy, distracting, and take over a good meeting. Avoiding excess tangents and keeping a meeting on track is part science and part art. The first science part, or at least the rule part, of how to keep the meeting on task is to set time limits for the discussion of each topic. Time limits present their own guide rails and ensure that everyone speaks concisely and on topic. everyone will appreciate the fact that you're respecting their time but not allowing the discussion to drag on. Another way is to actively encourage everyone to call out a tangent by name if they feel it has gone on too long. Everyone should feel empowered to say tangent without any form of reprisal. Once a tangent is called, the chair of the meeting should bring the group back to topic and move on. There should be no further discussion of the identified tangent. And now the art part, or at least the soft people skills part. If one or two people are the regular cause of the tangents, the lead of the group should have a side conversation away from the meeting. Do not do it in the meeting, nor in front of anyone else. Express to them the importance of staying on topic and inside the stated time frame. Ask them to help you in doing that by staying on topic. Regular tangents could also be an indicator that one or more of the members are not engaged in the group's topic. If this is the case, the group leader should talk to them in private to see if their energies would be best focused on the different meeting. How a leader starts a meeting also has an impact on the amount of tangents followed during the discussions. The longer it takes for a meeting to get started, the more side conversations that will begin. The group will want to finish those conversations even if that means doing so during the meeting. Starting on time will minimize the amount of continued discussions. Additional methods of having productive meetings can be found in my book, Lodge Business, the theoretical application of entrepreneurial business practices to Blue Lodge, available on Amazon. This is Jim Stevens with your Lodge Business Brief.
Good news, everyone!
Masonic Lite News. News not fit to print.
In Masonic news today, it has been reported that at a recent fire at Beech Grove Lodge number 694 in Indianapolis, Indiana, has destroyed the chair in which then President Harry Truman sat after sneaking off to a lodge meeting while campaigning in the area. The Grand Lodge of Indiana has issued an edict that henceforth any prominent visitor is to have a plaster cast made of his behind to prevent such tragedies from destroying valuable Masonic relics such as this. Other Grand Lodges are expected to issue similar rulings. That's the Masonic news. So mote it was.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
Tim, what do you have coming up?
Oh, my goodness.
What do you have coming up next
That was a
weeks?
quick transition.
Yep. So upcoming after this is released, actually, believe it or not, our first lodge notice of the fall goes out the day this podcast is made live, which is hard to believe. We're actually a first Monday of the month lodge, so we will meet actually on Tuesday following Labor Day, and so we have that coming up. Just a reminder that on September the 21st is Autumn Days at the Masonic Villages. I will be there along with a bunch of other Masons from across Pennsylvania. I'll let Jack talk a little bit more about the pumpkin roll.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. The District 3 Low Vale is coming up on September the 25th. You can check the District 3 website for that information. And that's what I've got coming up Masonically in the next few weeks.
Larry, doing anything?
No.
Good.
Tomorrow morning, you're going to breakfast.
I'm just looking forward to counting down the next few months so I can get out of the East in Tall Cedars and AMD. Then I have to wait till April to be out of the East and Council. Then I can be retired man and just retire to Rose Croix and just get old. I did do one other thing I did the other day. I took 3 brothers to their first DMLA meeting.
Awesome.
So, my wife and I, we help out and mentor some kids, or one child, but he's 1/5 of quintuplets. Ooh. 3 boys, 2 girls. So, wow, 3 12-year-old boys in the back seat of your car. I am not prepared for that. But
Wow. You going to take the girls to their first Job's Daughters?
No, they're. That was a hard enough sell for the 3 boys. I couldn't get the girls to. So.
Okay.
Josh,
you got something big coming up.
Yeah, I guess I'll be serving as, well, filling in as Worshipful Master for our upcoming stated meeting. But
and the date of that is?
September 3rd.
Ooh.
That's what I was going to say. I think
that's not good.
Same night as your...
I'm free. I will make an appearance.
Yeah.
I kind of have to show up at mine, so
okay.
Secretary.
Yeah. I also got to do School of Instruction. I'm going to have to learn the second degree for School of Instruction to be able to exemplify it as Worshipful Master.
There you go.
And I also have to do the examination of a visitor. So,
Jack,
I'll be filling in for that.
Anything exciting?
Well, I think I did my what's coming up at the beginning. So, Lodge in the Woods, September 18th. That's Wednesday. Go to eventbrite.com and search for Lodge in the Woods 2019. And you can get your tickets online. They are $30 plus a small fee for Eventbrite. That includes a lovely steak dinner that Mark was raving about a little bit ago. And just a good time out in the woods in a scout camp environment. It's business casual, scout uniform, if you could still fit into it. That's kind of what I've got going on.
Mark, if your microphone's still alive, you're welcome to chime in. What do you have coming up in the next couple weeks in Maryland? I'm getting the interference call. He's done.
All right.
He threw his microphone away. He's had enough.
I lost my mouse.
If he still has any more, we have to pay him.
All right.
So, Larry, take us out of here.
Yeah. Okay.
Cue those chickens.
Hey, everybody. Special thanks to Ephrata Lodge 665. Moyer, if you're listening, I think I said it correctly.
665.
600 and. There doesn't need to be an and in there. He's crazy. He's crazy. Well, special thanks to Ephrata Lodge 665 for making the studio available. Our special thanks also to our producer, Josh, for making the show extremely listenable and the great work he's been doing. Our news director, Jack Harley, thanks for being here, and we're always glad to see you. Our marketing director, Tim Dedman. Also to Michelle Snyder and James Stevens, who are frequent Masonic Lite podcast contributors. The other day I was driving home. That won't make it on the air, so
Say goodnight, Dick.
Thanks for listening to Masonic Lite Podcast. This is Larry speaking.
Josh, figure out how to edit that. Mark, thank you so much.
I didn't know if that would fly or not.
This is Tim.
Bye, everybody.
I'm Josh.
I'm Jack, I guess.
Good night.
And have a pleasant tomorrow.